Hello everybody, Luther for Life here, bringing us a brand new deck profile this time around. It is my Overworld Elementalist kind of sort of weird deck that is totally focused on around and having all the elements. This deck is a lot of fun to play. Overworlders typically have very balanced stats and health and everything, and they typically have a crap ton of elements, so I thought, hey, why not just go with a deck that has kind of focuses on having as many creatures as possible with all the elements, and this is just really fun to play, and I like it a lot. So let's get on with it. First up for the front row is I have Arctis Heptad Squire. So let me just say I don't have Heptad himself. I'm trying to find one, and I'm not having the best of luck. So Arctis Heptad Squire, at the beginning of combat, he gains all of the elements from adjacent creatures you control. That doesn't really matter too much because I have the Elementalist Pauldrons equipped onto him, which gives him 5 energy, 15 more power, and he gets all of the elements permanently, so you don't have to rely on having all your creatures adjacent to him. Really, really helpful. He's got pretty good stats too, and I really like the artwork. If only more people had it, because it is a Fire and Stone promo, which really, really sucks. Next up for the front row, I have Gronmor. This guy has beastly stats. Fire, Earth, and Water, 65 health, Fire 5, and then Support all disciplines 5. So he gets 5 more to all disciplines for every dude that you have adjacent to him. That is stupid. This card is so good, and his Brain Loss effect is kind of irrelevant, so it is such a good card. I mean, like, it is such a scary good card, and it's not unique at all. So, and by unique, I mean it doesn't have unique on it or anything. Now then, he is missing one element, so I have him equipped with the Sandstorm Shroud, where at the beginning of each combat he gains air. So really, really useful. He gets all, that means he'll have all 4 elements. Very, very useful. And of course, you're just able to use just about every attack in the game because of it. And then, finally, for frontline, I have Tank of Toborn in training. He is basically Gronmor, but with more health. He has an effect that's kind of irrelevant. You can use a Magic Counter to make him to where all his disciplines become his original discipline. So, like, if your opponents use a Sink Scream on you, you can just use a Magic Counter, make him have all his disciplines back, which can be helpful, but I don't really have any, like, major stat challenges and stuff in here. So, very, very powerful card. And, of course, I also have a Sandstorm Shroud on him, so he will have air as well. So, they both have really good attack, really good stats, all 4 elements, really good health. It's so stupid. Like, the fact that neither of these guys have unique on them. You could, theoretically, if I could ever find one more of each, you could play 2 of each, and then just go crazy like that. Like, oh my god, it'd be a nightmare for your opponent. Really good cards up front. Basically, all my beaters up front is basically what I'm doing here. Next up, for the middle, is Gimwe. He has Fire 5, and then when Gimwe is dealt 20 or more damage from a single source, deal 5 damage to target creature, which is pretty useful for punishing your opponent. I like him a lot. He has pretty good stats, fire and air, and 60 health. Also, he is an Elementalist, so I have another Elementalist Pauldrons on him, and he gains all the elements, which is really, really useful. Next up, I have Maxor. I only have Maxor in the back because I don't know where else to put him. Well, in the middle at least. He has really good stats, 60 health. I think that's the max energy he can have. I'm not entirely sure on that. Fire and Earth. You can get rid of a Magic Counter off of him to heal him by 10 energy. Not terrible, not really that great either. Wish it was a bit more. I don't have Maxor Protector or Param, otherwise I'd probably play him over this guy, the original. But until then, the original is good enough for me. Very, very useful, very, very good stats, very powerful. Like, just about everything in here has really, really good stats. It's scary. And then on him, I have a Plasma Pounder. So, Plasma Pounder, when you do Earth damage with that creature, he has Earth, you get to basically just go ahead and stack your location deck. It's really, really helpful for just being able to set up plays and everything, and just being able to just kind of pick and choose what you want to do. Very, very, very useful. Very, very, very good. That being said, though, actually, like, getting an Earth attack sometimes can be a bit annoying. And then finally, for the back row, I have Nadgerin, High Muse of the Lake. So, this is, in my opinion, like, the second best version of Nadgerin. Possibly even better, because Fluid Morphous Foe, for most people, is considered to be the best version. If you guys don't know what Fluid Morphous Foe does, every time one of your opponent's creatures gains a magic counter, he gains a magic counter. The issue of Fluid Morpher's Foe is that I don't have him, for one thing, and also it kind of sort of relies on your opponent playing Marillions, so it's not all that great against other things. But however, this guy, this version of Adrian, not only does he have water, which I don't think any other version of him has, but however, he has 2 magic counters, pretty good stats overall, and and music played by him costs 1 less magic counter to play than normal, which is incredibly helpful, especially for music counters, music that requires like 3, but however, it's now 2 for him, which is really, really cool. And then finally on him, I have the Azaya Mind Probe, which if you guys haven't seen my Marillion deck profile, or if it's, I don't know which one's going to go up first, this card basically what it does is the encrypt creature cannot be targeted by magic or abilities played by creatures with lower wisdom than him. Nadrin has 95 wisdom. Very few creatures will have more wisdom than him, so therefore your opponent can't target him at all. And of course this battle gear begins at the beginning of the game, which is incredibly cool and useful, and it just protects your Muge. And he has pretty good health too for a Muge. Most Muges don't have that high health. Now then for the attacks, I play 2 Torrent of Flames. It's a 2-drop, 10 fire, 10 in water. So most of my creatures, actually all my creatures, will be able to play and do at least 10 damage with it. 4 out of them, though, will be able to do 20, which is really, really cool. Next up is the Infernal Claws. 5 base, 5 fire, 5 earth. Really, really good attack. 15 damage with it. It's a 1-drop too, and of course all my creatures, with the exception of Adrin, will be able to use it. Next up, I play 2 Muge's Edge. I think I talked about this card a while ago in one of my other videos, but Muge's Edge is one of my favorite 0-drop attack cards. Whenever you play it, your creature gains 10 to all disciplines, and if your creature is a Muge, it does 10 damage. So if your opponent does somehow get through all this wall, and they get to an Adrin will actually be able to fight back a bit with it. Now we get to the cards I play 1 of. So first and foremost is Minor Roar. No, I don't have all my Geddon, sadly. So Minor Roar does 5, and then 5 for every elemental type, and then it does an additional 5 damage for every magic counter your creature has. Or wait, was it your opponent's? Yeah, your engaged creature. So every magic counter your creature has, which is pretty useful, so you can do a really, really high amount of damage with this card. I play 1 Apocalypse, so this card does 0 base, but 5 for every attribute. And then if you have every attribute, flip the opposing engaged creature's battle gear face down, draw an attack card, discard an attack card, deal 5 damage, and gain 5 energy until the end of the turn. It does so much, it's not even funny. Well, actually, it is kind of funny. But it's a really, really useful attack card. Next up, I play 1 Ash Torrent. Does 5 fire, 5 earth, and then challenge power 15, deal 10 damage. Very, very useful attack card. 1, crap, what is it called? Mineral Mayhem. So this is actually a card a friend of mine recommended I play to counter Lord Von Bloot, Servant of Ayn, even though nobody I know plays him or has him. He has base of 5 earth, and then you may choose to have Mineral Mayhem do no damage, and if you do, your creature gains 100 courage, which is really, really, really useful. The main thing, the reason why this counters Servant of Ayn is because Servant of Ayn, what he says is the opposing engaged creatures that battle him lose all stats, and, well, sorry, not stats, lose all of their elemental types and cannot gain more elemental types if their courage is less than his. So this is basically going to always make it to where they're higher than him. The issue with this card is I only have 1, so I gotta only play 1. Next up is 1 Force Balls, 5 base, 5 fire, and 5 water. And then if you control non-overworld creatures, Force Balls does 0 damage. Of course, I play all overworld creatures, so it will always do at least a little bit of damage. Next up, 1 Eidolon Advance, 5 base, 5 water, and then deal 5 damage if your engaged creature has 1 or more magic counters on it, which is pretty useful. And then 1 Meditative Leap. It does base 10 damage, and then it has 2 stat checks. 1 for stat check, a Wisdom 100, remove a magic counter from a creature you control, and if you do, put a magic counter on your engaged creature. And then stat check, speed 100, draw an attack card, discard an attack card. Those generally won't happen very much. Maybe to the Wisdom one, but however, not so much for the Speed one. But however, it is a 1-drop of 10 base damage. It's pretty nice. 1 outwit, 5 fire, and then stat check. Power and Wisdom 50 deal 5 damage for both. So at max, they can do 15 damage, which is really useful. 1 Invader's Tactics, 10 base damage, and then Water 0. And then if your opponent is the one who has the location active, it does an additional 5 damage. 1 Liquescent Swirl, it does 10 water damage, but you lose water until end of turn. 1 Delirium, stat check, Wisdom 50, deal 5 damage. 1, crap, what is this card called again? Petrifying Power, 5 Earth, and then this card does no damage if your opponent controls the active location. 1 Smoke Surge, 5 Fire, and then it does 0 damage if your opponent creature has fire, which is kind of annoying, but oh well. And then 1 Shadow Strike Challenge, Courage 15, deal 10 damage. Yeah, get over there. 1 Odd Opus, pay 2, target creature, gains 15 energy and 15 to all disciplines, really useful. Next up is Empowering Serenade, target creature, gains 10 energy and then 10 wisdom. Next up is good old Sound of Noise. Sound of Noise. Dispel target generic or Marillion music. Really, really helpful. Next up is this card right here. Crap, what was it called? Etude of Exhaustion. Some of these names are really hard to say. Target creature gains Exhaust all disciplines 5, meaning they lose 5 to all disciplines every time they attack, which is kind of like Recklessness for disciplines. It's kind of funny. Next up is Melody of Miracles. Target creature, heal 15 damage. And then if you engage creature won a Wisdom Challenge this turn, Melody of Miracles cost is 0, which is pretty useful. And then next up, and last but not least, is Entrus's Healing Ballad. Deal 5 damage to target engaged creature for each magic counter on opposing creatures. So yeah, sorry if I have to reread the names. I haven't memorized all the names, but I know what they do for the most part. My eyes are hurting real bad right now for some reason. First up for the locations, 2 Frozen Fires. Initiative is Wisdom. And when this card is the active location, while this card is the active location, whenever a engaged creature loses when a creature gains or loses a magic counter, Frozen Fire deals 5 damage to it. So this can potentially kill a Fluid Morpher if your opponent is not careful enough. Next up, 2 Skeletal Springs. Initiative is Overworld. All my creatures are Overworld. Creatures with water gain water 5, and then Fluid Morphers cannot gain music counters or use music counters to pay for music or abilities. So it really, really hard counters your opponent's Fluid Morphers and stuff. Next up, 1 Stronghold Mourn. Initiative is Speed. At the beginning of combat, de-engaged creatures gain all elements. It is a unique card, which is kind of annoying, but hey, whatever. So basically, this makes it to where your guys who don't have all the elements gain all the elements. So your Maxer will get air and water, your Nadrin will get all the elements, and then if your opponent destroys some of the battle gear equipped onto the other guys, they will get all the elements. It's a really, really, really good location. The only sad thing is that your opponent also gets all the elements, which is kind of annoying. Next up is Iparu Jungle. Now this one has a very complicated effect, but basically initiative is Wisdom, and then its effect is when this becomes the active location, flip a coin. If tails, shuffle Iparu Jungle into its owner's location deck, and then I guess you just reveal a new one after that. Mirage, at the beginning of combat, each engaged creature's energy becomes its scan energy until the end of the turn. Very, very useful effect. I don't really get the whole flip it, send it back to the location deck. But hey, it can be useful sometimes if you want to get to your Stronghold more faster. And then next up is Kordak Falls. Initiative is Overworld. And then at the beginning of combat, each engaged creature gains 5 energy until the end of the turn. Next up is Runic Grove. Only generic music may be played, but this can be very, very annoying for your opponent. Next up is Rao Pashak, the Chime Grid. Initiative is music counters, And then when the Rail Pod Shock becomes the active location, each player places a music counter on a creature they control. And then finally, Fidav's Refactorium, initiative is Wisdom, and when it becomes the location, each player draws 2 attack cards and discards 2 attack cards, which can be really helpful for getting through to your really good attacks that you need. So guys, that is the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed. I absolutely love this deck. It's a lot of fun to play. Just being able to have all 4 elements is something that, like, is just something like kind of cool to me. I don't, it's hard to explain like why I wanted to do this and stuff. I just really wanted to be able to have a deck that focused on having as many elements as possible. And it's a lot of fun. It's a really cool deck and interesting. I have a guy called Eliar that I want to put in here, but I don't know what to take out for him. Like, I was thinking of Gimli, but then I'd lose an Elementalist. So I don't know. So guys, if you have any recommendations, concerns, comments, whatever you want to say, please leave them down in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Have a great day. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, and see you all later. Peace out. Goodbye.